Welcome to State and Local. I'm Anne Marie Battistone, and of course you're watching Norfolk Public Access. Today I have with me another candidate for town office. That would be Kevin Kalkut. He is running for planning board. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit something about yourself and how long you've lived in town, that sort of thing, and what you do?
Sure. I moved to town about 3 years ago. I moved here with my wife, Erica, our two sons, Colin and Ryan. Colin is 5 and Ryan is 2.
Oh.
And we have one more son coming on the way this August, so that'll make an even 3.
When is he going to be born, or she?
He will be born on August 4th, so that'll make 3 boys.
Oh, she'll go right through, right through the summer and the heat and everything.
That's right, yeah. She is quite the trooper. But our oldest son, Colin, will be starting kindergarten this fall at H. Holiday, so we're excited about that. A little bit about me. I grew up in northern New Jersey, actually, a town called Glen Rock. It's a lot like Norfolk, actually. The same population, about the same distance to New York City over there. A lot of the same kind of features and safety, a lot of those great things that make a small town so appealing to people. So when we came out here, we wanted to find something that was a lot like that. I really wanted to find that kind of feeling in a town that we would set some roots in. It wasn't a direct trip, though. I went to school at Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. I actually went to school to be a chef.
Did you?
I studied culinary arts for my first couple of years there, and during that time I decided maybe that was something I could leave for a hobby. So I transferred into a program that was more focused on hospitality management. So I moved to the front of house, learned about operations, learned about hotels, graduated with a bachelor's degree in hospitality management, and from there I went with my then girlfriend to Chicago.
Oh.
So we went to Chicago and we lived there for 8 years. I worked in hotels out there on different facets of the operation while she was finishing her doctorate degree.
Where was she doing her
Loyola, she was doing her work on. So after 8 years, she finished up her program. She was ready for her first job. We had just had our first son, and we wanted to come back to the East Coast where both of our families were. So originally we came back to Massachusetts. We lived in Norwood for a little while we got a feel for the area and the communities. And Norfolk just really struck us. It was a perfect mix of what we were looking for the rural appeal of a town that gave us some wide open space for the kids to run around in, but also had a tight-knit community where you had some great neighbors and some great feels around the neighborhoods.
Now that's supposed to be a very good program over there at Johnson & Wales.
Yes, it was fantastic. One of the best in the nation for what it does.
Now I'm just curious, what sort of cooking did you like to do? Did you bake or did you?
Oh no, there was no baking going on. Baking is a whole nother world. That's almost a science compared to what regular cooking is.
Of the flour and the eggs and the
Absolutely.
heat and
Absolutely. So I was more of the sautéing, more of the broiling, baking kind of stuff when it's not so bread and cake oriented. Johnson & Wales has a program that includes a lot of different facets, international cuisines. The class structure isn't like a normal college. You went to school for a 9-day segment, and at the end of those 9 days, you were in class for about 7 to 8 hours a day. But at the end of the 9 days, you took a final exam and you went on to your next segment.
Oh, really?
And so your grade point average was based on how you performed in each of those 9-day segments.
How interesting. Now, what work are you doing now?
So now I'm actually working for a restaurant software company. After I finished my time working in the actual operations of hotels in Chicago, I found myself in a corporate restaurant environment out here in Boston working for Tavistock Restaurants. They owned Back Bay restaurants at the time, so the Abe and Louie's, the Atlantic Fish Companies, the Joe's American Bars and Grills.
Oh, yes.
So I was working with them for about 3 years before moving with some of the leadership from that company to another company that was based out on the West Coast in Southern California called
Are you writing the software?
Not at this point. I was working more on strategy development and deployment. So I was using my operational experience to be able to build new ideas, new strategy, and the best ways we can make them work with some boots on the ground people in the operations.
That must have been a pretty responsible job in those hotels. It seemed like anything could happen.
And then the hotels I was working in were quite large as well. It was the Hilton Chicago on Michigan Avenue, which was 1,500 rooms, and the Sheraton Chicago, which is almost 1,600 rooms.
Wow,
Yeah.
my goodness. Now, so is that something that sort of moved you towards your interest in the planning board because
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as I began to work more on strategy development and deployment, I was sort of pushed to get some certain certifications to help support that drive. One of those certifications was Six Sigma certification. Six Sigma is a group of methodologies that are applied to management strategies to help with efficiency and process management from within an organization. So at first I started with the hotels and got Green Belt certification, and then with my last position, the Southern California restaurant company, I got Black Belt certification.
do all hotel managers, now you were a manager at some
Correct.
At some level. Do all of them have to have that at all hotels?
No, absolutely not. It was very big in one of the companies that I worked for people who aspired to grow within the company to have that certification, but it wasn't common for everybody to do it.
And so, tell me how then your interest went towards being on the planning board.
So one of the things that really interested me when I was looking into local government and how we could get involved was the ability to apply that strategy development and deployment skill set. I spoke to a few people in town who had been involved in town government before, and they kind of guided me into the different roles and the different boards and how they function. And the planning board just seemed to really fit that desire to want to apply those skills I had learned before and kind of honed in a corporate environment into a local, more town government-oriented aspect.
So you mean within the planning board itself, or the way the planning board might look at the issues before it?
Both, absolutely both. I mean, the planning board's main function, from what I've understood, is to be able to balance the public good with private rights and interests. And in any case, that is going to waver from side to side. You're going to have people who have a general right to develop land or to do something with the land that they have. There's a couple of instances that I think immediately come to people's minds here in town. And you have to balance that with the community and what's best for everybody who lives around that person. And I think that's the main responsibility of the planning board. There are going to be a lot of different instances where maybe you're not going to be able to make everybody happy in certain situations, but finding that balance, that's really the main function from where I sit.
Now, have you been attending the meetings for a while? Or?
I've been attending the meetings probably since I started my candidacy in February. So I've been to
that's a good
planning board meetings. I've been to the Board of Selectmen's meetings. I went to town meeting in the fall. ZBA meeting I went to last week. But for the most part, and I do want to take this opportunity for a quick moment, I want to say thank you to you and everybody here at NCTV, because you provide this incredible resource for people like me to be able to do research and get acclimated with all the historic meetings that have been going on in the past. So I've watched over 90 hours of meetings on YouTube.
Oh, yes, yes.
Dating back to before some of the people were even on some of the boards they're on now. So I want to say thank you very much to you and everybody else for giving us that resource.
Well, you know, most public access studios are not on. It's kind of an interesting story, which I won't tell, but that we are on YouTube, and it does make it good for candidates and state candidates and so forth. Now, what can you tell us about 140 that you know about 144 Seekonk?
So 144 Seekonk is probably one of the most contested proposals that are on the table right now.
It hasn't gone to the town yet, right?
No, it has not gone to the town yet. The way that the 40B process works is once a developer comes up with a proposal for development, he's going to send it to the state first if it is a 40B project. And the state will be the one who has to give him approval to move forward.
I know people have been writing letters to the state.
Absolutely. The second that the preliminary plans came out, a lot of people took notice and they identified the impact that would have on the community. 40Bs in a larger scope are a very hot topic these days in town. And as I've been talking to different residents, holding my meet and greet sessions at the cafes for the last 6 weeks, that's probably one of the biggest things that people want to know about. They're starting to see these things pop up and seeing density not as in line with the rest of their neighborhood, and wondering about traffic and schools and how our water is going to be able to handle these new developments. So it's definitely something on the forefront of everybody's mind right now, and that's why I've kind of done my best to keep people informed with what I'm able to find out.
Has there been anything that you found out that you think is maybe, because I know Scott Bugby wrote a long, very detailed letter, and covered a bunch, a number of different topics. But has there been anything that struck you as pertinent to that, to keeping that project? I assume that would be your orientation, to keep it out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It does not fit with that area that it's going in. And there's
Seekonk
certain
Street is not that big. I live on
no.
Seekonk.
Yeah, I live on Overley Road, actually, right off of Rockwood, so it would have an impact on traffic around that area as well. That project in particular has a couple of different challenges with it. Aside from the negative impact that could potentially come to the area around it, it's also the development structure. There is a lot of rocky area and hilly area there that would require some very specific development skills to be pushed through.
So why would anybody want to get involved in that?
Well, there's an opportunity there. I mean, Norfolk is a very desirable 40B location. We have some great assets that are appealing to those who are looking for affordable housing, and it's a very appealing opportunity for developers as well. A lot of the people who own large pieces of land here are seeing the opportunity to be able to make an investment come to life.
Now, I assume you've seen the plan.
Yes.
It looks as if there's no egress. It looks as if there's going to be a road coming off of Seekonk,
Right.
and then there's this big sort of circular area, and another part that comes up on the side, and then I don't see an egress.
Right.
How can that be? I mean, that you can't have a development like that, can you?
Well, I mean, this comes into a public safety question, right? I mean,
You couldn't get the fire trucks up there, and if you did, other people wouldn't be able to get out.
right, and that is the one
Seems crazy
thing
to
that
me.
municipalities are able to utilize to be able to fight 40Bs that are not in the favor of the community. They're able to fall back on environmental issues and on public safety issues. And in this case, that would be a case for public safety for sure.
So how do you, I mean, this is kind of a crazy question, but what would make you think that somebody would even propose something like that can't go through without another road
Well,
coming in and out?
that's the thing about 40B. 40B has afforded developers the ability to circumnavigate around zoning bylaws and other restrictions that would normally keep development away in these certain aspects.
Even something as patently obvious as that's so necessary?
Unfortunately, yes. Now, that's not to say that that can't be used to make a case to the state about why it wouldn't be in the best interest of public safety to have it go through, but it is still able to be proposed.
Is it all 40B up there, or would it be all 40B up there?
The entire project would be 40B,
Oh, is that right?
but now to specify, I believe that the proposal identifies two separate development areas in this one
Yes.
project. So it would be a rental apartment complex,
Yeah.
and then there would also be townhomes that would be available.
Because I know that little area off of that's across from the ball fields there. I can't even think of it. I guess that would be 115.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I guess that is all 40B. But in a lot of cases, don't they try to mix 40B with regular housing, with market rates?
Well, that's actually exactly what 40B is. A 40B development is an entire development that's able to get around the zoning bylaws associated to the development area. And the one restriction they have is that they must make 25% of the units they're proposing be affordable units.
A minimum of 25.
It has to be a minimum of 25, that's right. And so the rest of the units, the other 75%, are sold at market rate.
But not in this case. This is going to be all, as far as you know.
Well, in this case, it would be the same thing. 25% would be affordable and 75% would be market
so it's
rate.
not all, and I also thought the houses look very close together.
Oh, well, that's one of the things that's a benefit of 40B to developers, is that you're able to leave the density restrictions out of your proposal.
Because I thought the whole thing looked very close to me. Now, what do you? Let me ask you this question. If you might know this, I've understood that if the town is too restrictive or doesn't want the project at all or rejects it, that there's a situation in which the 40B has even more freedom as to how many affordable houses it puts in the development. I don't know if I've explained myself very well.
No, I think I understand where you're going with that. So a developer is able to propose whatever density he would like for a 40B development. He does not have to abide by any of the bylaws associated to zoning in a municipality. But what the ZBA, or the Zoning Board of Appeals, is able to do for the town, and during a 6-month review process, they're able to establish if they feel that they're able to get the project to a point where they feel comfortable approving it, or if they don't. And if they don't, they are more than able to deny that developer the comprehensive permit, that he would need from the town to be able to move forward. Now, the issue runs in with developers who want to appeal that decision. They would appeal that decision to the state. Now remember, the state is the one who originally approved their proposal, and now the state is able to overturn the ZBA's decision to deny that comprehensive permit. And one of the most interesting stats, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is that if you look back at all of the cases that have been appealed back to the state when a ZBA has denied a developer their ability to get that permit, 84% of the time the state has ruled in favor of the developer.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah. So,
regardless of I hate to keep bringing this up, but when I looked at that plan, I didn't see how anybody could even, bring forth something like that with one road. Now, what do you think? What do you feel like? You had mentioned your certificates and your studies and so forth relating to management. What do you feel like needs to be maybe changed or improved in the planning board that you might be able to do?
Well, I don't think that anything necessarily needs to be changed or approved. I think that the planning board thus far has done an incredible job of managing the incoming projects and keeping them in line with the expectations of the town. What I think I can add is a different perspective. I'm a younger demographic in town. I have 3 young kids who are going to be fully vested in our school systems for the foreseeable future. I feel like I'm going to be able to bring a different perspective on these projects that are coming through, and also a voice that I feel confident in voicing in these meetings and being able to identify my own concerns and where I see some opportunities.
How important is it when you've gone to those meetings or watched them? How much of it is technical in terms of construction and different aspects of that? Does that come into play?
Absolutely, it comes into play. There is a lot of technical speak during these meetings where there is an infinite amount of benefit of having somebody who has that background to be able to provide insight. That being said, we have a full-time town planner that is employed by the town who's able to help us with those kind of things, as well as a consultant engineer who was able to provide insight on these different projects as part of the review process.
What is his name?
The consultant or the planner?
The consultant.
I think it varies. I don't think there's one specific.
Oh, they hire
I think
different
it's a
people.
company. Yeah.
So, do they get down to the point of discussing how the houses are built, or is that something that comes down the road and then they end up going to the ZBA for that?
In the cases of 40Bs, they do get into the very, very detailed look of the plans and how many of the different facets of design and impact are going to look. And that actually works the same way with developments that are not 40B that go through the planning board as well.
Now, have you been on other boards before? Is it something that you like to do?
Oh, absolutely. I haven't been on local government boards before. I've served on different alumni boards in certain capacities as president, but nothing that has ever been associated to local government, although it has always interested me, and I feel like those around me have always kind of pushed me to go this route at some point or another.
But when you were working in the hotels, you must have had to do a lot of meetings with people and conferring and trying to get people on the same page.
Yep. Trying to tie in different departments into each other was a huge part of my positions previously.
Now, what else can you tell us about your view of how the... So you seem to say that you feel like the planning, like the projects have been handled pretty well in town so far.
Well, from a planning board's perspective, I absolutely think so. When you start looking past it at the 40Bs, though, and it's nothing against our ZBA. I think our ZBA is doing an incredible job with a whole lot of things that have been thrown at them that have been very, very new to everybody. I feel like a strategy is needed for how we're going to be able to accommodate for all of these 40Bs. I know that there has been discussions upon discussions in different board meetings, the Board of Selectmen, for instance, about how we're going to be handling these things moving forward. But I feel like the community as a whole does not have a great grasp on what that direction looks like. I know that we had a project that recently fell through at Southwood that would have pretty much covered us for all of our affordable housing needs, but unfortunately it did not go through.
What happened with that? Do you know what exactly? They were out of New Jersey, those people.
That's
they were
right.
out of, I can't
Hoboken.
think- Right, exactly.
Absolutely. So the project, a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into that project. I was watching
been a
meetings
while
going
back,
back
too.
2 years where
Yes.
discussions were being had.
They were going to have houses with a rental for the in-laws. I mean, I'm kind of simplifying it. but
Yeah, I think
wasn't it something like that?
There was many different facets
And
of
then
that
there was some
development.
issue. There was some wondering about this rental. Can they rent to anybody? Do they have to prove it's the family?
Yeah. So
With just one.
Eventually what happened is they started to work their way through the process. It was actually right before they were deciding to put it on the warrant for town meeting to propose to everybody that this is going to be our plan should we do this. They just did not feel like there was enough security for the town to be able to move forward with the project. There was
In a
so
sense
much
of-
exposure and risk involved with the developer and how they were going to be handling it on their end.
Oh.
I think they rightfully so decided that it just was not in the best interest of the community.
And did they appeal to the state?
This was not a 40B development, if memory serves. I think it was a proposal to be
Oh,
purchased
okay.
outside of that whole program.
Wow, gee, because I know they came and they talked and and all of that. So, what do you feel the approach should be? I know we're supposed to have 10%.
Correct.
And is there a timeline as to how quickly the town's supposed to reach the 10%? Do you happen to know? I don't know.
In my experiences, and this is just based on the things that I've been exposed to thus far, there is no timeline to get to 10%. As it stands right now, we have 6 projects that are in varying stages of being proposed.
Huh.
In those 6 projects, there are about 177 affordable units being proposed.
And what is the total number of units? Did you happen to know?
406, I do believe. 460,
And that's not including 144C Conc.
That is included
Is
in 144 Econ, correct. So if that one does get turned down, that will all go down. Now, with 177 affordable units, we still fall just shy of our 10%.
Huh. But then as more people move into town, I've often wondered about this. This is going to be kind of like a crazy question. As more people move into these houses, then the number to reach percent will move up, won't it?
It will, but that actually won't happen until the census because all of these numbers are based on your census total. So we're still working off of our 2010 single-family home totals to be able to give us our percentage that we need. So in 2020, when they take census again, that will likely shoot up.
And don't they also, if they feel a town's dragging their feet because they're opposed to it, I mean, doesn't the state also put pressure on the towns?
Well, I mean, at one point, when the developer receives, and this is my understanding of the process, when the developer receives his approval from the state, that's when he's able to submit his application for the comprehensive permit from the town. And that's when you have to open a review period with that developer. Now, you have a 6-month time limit from when you open review until when you need to make a decision on that review.
That long?
No.
And that involves people complaining about it or people being in favor of it? Or
There's
what do you
feedback.
mean?
There's definitely feedback from butters to each of the projects where they will come and voice their
butters, that's
opinions.
true.
There's the development teams. There's engineering studies on traffic and water flow and drainage, everything you can possibly imagine.
Well, those people up there at that, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, they've already got the ranch up there.
Yep.
And all that coming and going. And then virtually across the street is that little road going up to the new development. And these people up there must be I mean, I'm not too far away, but I mean, really wouldn't be affected the way they might.
Right.
I think we've just about come out of time, but thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to add about your
There's just
campaign
one
or your
thing.
plan?
There's been one question I've gotten more than anything else when I've spoken to residents during meet and greets and door-to-doors and on Facebook. And that question has been, why are you running for planning board? And it's usually followed up with, you must be in a butter to one of these projects, or you must be a developer or be tied to the industry.
Yeah.
I've tried to be very clear, and I've tried to answer it as clearly as I can, but I just want to make sure I address that in the best way I can. I'm not a developer. I'm definitely not related to the industry. I'm not in a butter to any project.
Oh, that is people's fear.
Yeah, that you're going to be driven by something in the role. I don't know anybody in town government. I don't have any family members or business associates. I'm not in a political party of any kind. I'm not part of any special interest group. My sole reason for doing this is simply the betterment of the town. That's the only thing I'm concerned about, and that's the only thing I want to drive.
And you feel like this whole issue with 40B versus non-40B is a really huge issue in terms of the character of the town.
It's not just me. I mean, everything that I'm basing my campaign off of is what the residents have told me. 40B, residential tax rate, infrastructure, school systems, our master plan, commercial development. These are all
Well,
things
that's another thing that I was thinking with all those houses in the 144C conc. I mean, if they're having children, I mean, I don't know how much room there is in the schools, but I'm just thinking to myself, at some point, will they have to build another school if this goes on?
Well, as we stand right now, I'm told that the stat is that we have 1,000 students in our school systems, not the regional schools, with a capacity of 1,200. So the math there does kind of scare you a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It does. Huh. All righty. Well, now I believe you have a sign there.
I do.
You're going to show that. Going to show everyone what to look for.
I am going to show my sign. So I did bring this for you because I figured that it would look fantastic on your front lawn there. These are our campaign signs, so if you see them, go ahead and take a nice look at them. If you'd like
orange
one.
and navy blue. I'll take it.
There you go. Beautiful. Thank you.
I'll take it. I'll take it in hand. I'm not really able when I give interviews. I'm not supposed to say that I'm for this one or that one, but you know, I'll see that. I'll ask around and I'll see if somebody who's already, you know.
And then if anybody else would like to get in contact with us with questions or comments or concerns, we have a Facebook page that we'll be able to share, I'm sure, as well as a website, www.votekevinkalkut.com.
All righty. Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, not at all. And I have contacted everybody that's running for a town office. I haven't heard back from some people. Right as of now, I don't have any other interviews lined up. So if there's anybody that sees this, you can get in touch with me. My email is there on the lower third. So thank you very much for watching State and Local. The election is May 2nd. Please be sure you go and vote. And thank you for watching State and Local. This is Norfolk Public Access. I'm Anne Marie Battistone.